Oh, this is a live microphone, by the way. Hello and welcome on into this week's edition of Entertainment News here at MBE. We'd just like to thank you once again for joining us here on our YouTube channel and, of course, our Twitch stream. I'm one of your co-hosts, Stephen John McLaughlin. Our co-host is John C. Walsh, and we're here to talk about a few things entertainment-wise. We're going to be talking about Kill and its sequel. Didn't know this was happening, but it is.
I didn't know it was an Oscar-winning producer who was involved with Kill.
Yeah, we'll get into that in a little moment, John. But obviously, we're going to be having some music news as well. We're going to be talking about Band-Aid 40. The single's just been released. This remix that they've done. We'll share our views on that, and we'll obviously talk about what Tony Hadley is saying about Ed Sheeran. And we're going to be talking about
We'll be talking about Ed Sheeran as well and his interaction with the new Manchester United manager on the pitch after Manchester United's won each draw with Ipswich Town.
Wow. What team does Ed support?
He's an Ipswich man.
All right, okay.
He's from Surrey.
Didn't even know that. Half-Life 3 is our gaming news. Rumours continue about a potential sequel to the fantastic Half-Life series, which John and I very much loved back in the day. It's been a while. Actually, it's been that long I forgot about it. I know it was part of the Orange Box, but it was...
You know, it's that good.
Yeah, it's that good. I forgot about it. I did like it.
Didn't actually get round to hitting the play button.
that's an in joke, that one. It might see the light of day one day when someone dies.
Oh God!
A certain person dies, we'll release it. There's no consequence then. But
You know, I get round to seeing this one on Netflix. Didn't actually get round to hitting the play button.
Yeah, game over, man. Yeah,
game over, man. Yeah, it was that good. I forgot it. No, but it was, Stephen. It was. We'll get into that though. Yeah. We shall get into that. It's one of the iconic video games. It really was. It was an innovative and legendary game in terms of the story.
In between playing that at the same time as Call of Duty and Battlefield and GTA. So
because you had Team Fortress, Team Fortress, the fantastic multiplayer game, and just colourful mentalness. Obviously, we'll get into that though. It spawned a whole host of mods, Gary's mod and whatnot. You'd got Celtic fans battering Rangers fans with things and stuff like that. It was just modern in its sort of formative stages. That was all from Valve. It was from Half-Life, so and also Portal and whatnot. We'll get into that.
Very inspirational game, John, we're going to talk about obviously our headline news and the thumbnail, folks, and it's all about Indian action hit Kill is getting a sequel. Producer Gunit Monga revealed at Film Bazaar in Goa. We're discussing, and there will be part 2, the Oscar-winning producer told Screen. Nikhil Nagesh Bhat, Hindi's language feature premiered at Toronto International Film Festival in 2023, where it was the first runner-up for the People's Choice Midnight Madness Award. It's produced by Monga's Sikhya Entertainment and Dharma Productions, and he said, "We are discussing with Dharma and Nikhil will be the director," said Monga, whose credits also include Lunchbox and Peddlers. "We have a lot of ideas brewing and it's deep in development." John, it's going to... the reason I didn't think this was going to be a sequel is because I thought he died at the end.
Yeah, so, I still think he did die at the end.
So what are they doing here? Is it going to be a prequel? I don't know. But I'm glad to see there's something coming of it anyway, whether it is I know it's billed as a sequel, but you've got obviously Nikhil in there. You got Dharma, so I don't really know which direction they can take this in.
I'm going to bring up the cast because just to refresh my memory, the villain was brilliant. Yep. Really enjoyed the villain, Fanny. By Raghav Jiyal. By all accounts, I think he's a sort of all-encompassing star. He's not just an out-and-out actor. I think he does many things, and maybe a dancer or something. I can't recall. Someone commented on one of our reaction videos about Raghav. He was such a compelling part of the film.
Obviously, Laksha was the...
Laksha,
But his character... what I mean is when I say I don't know how they're going to do a sequel, because the film was about him.
Yeah.
So is it going to be in the same world? Is it going to be? I don't know what they're going to do.
I mean, they could go down the John Wick route where he somehow survives. They could explain it off that I don't know how they're going to explain, because he had extensive injuries. He was stabbed numerous times to the abdomen and obviously round about the gut area, which is pretty much insta-death. You'd bleed out within like 40 minutes or something, if that. And if you don't, you're multiple stomas because you're talking about intestines. So that's not something that's going to translate well to an action star running around with stoma bags if he's having to take his top off. So if we're being true to life, then it makes no sense this guy surviving. He very much should be biting the bullet. If we're going to suspend disbelief and they're desperate to continue this film with Amrit Rathod, obviously the Laksha-led character, then Steve, I've seen characters come back from worse. I mean, there was talk of Muna potentially surviving for season 3 of I'm blanking on the name, fucking terrible Mirzapur. I was about to say Madashod. That slits off the tongue. Slits off the tongue that often. I just love that word now. I say chod and chatia and ben chod and stuff like that on the daily, purely because most people here haven't got a clue what these words mean. I do know what they mean, so you can get away with saying Madachod and whatnot. But also Mirzapur, they just talk his heart. We had a defective or a fucking, what do you call it? It's not degenerative, but sort of, he was born with a heart on the wrong side of his chest. People were trying to say he could have survived. So if you can try and rewrite that character into escaping death, then why not have Amrit come back? Personally, Stephen, for me, I put on the thumbnail, do we need a sequel? Because it's a question I think needs asked when you've got, obviously, Gunit Monga talking about it being in development. Of course, an Oscar-winning producer. I didn't actually know she was involved with this. I remember watching the Oscars. I think it was for, if I'm not wrong, it was for the documentary or the short. I'm pretty sure there was 2 rival Indian nominees for the Oscars, and I think one get snubbed for Best Picture or something. I can't recall. There was some controversy, I remember, because was it not? I may be thinking about this year, actually. I'm thinking about this year because it's Lap of the Ladies. Yeah. And there was another one, a documentary, but she's an Academy Award winning that producer anyway. If she's speaking about it, then obviously there's some tangible sort of aspect to this. It's happening. They're in discussions, if not in the sort of process of developing a sequel.
Yeah, they're deep in development,
so it's going to happen. Yeah. So I suppose the question is, do they need a sequel? You've kind of touched on it already. Logistically, how's it going to work with the leading actor?
Well, they've not said anything about the leading actor.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a completely different.
They say, obviously, Dharma's the production company, and Nikhil is the producer. The director, who will be obviously on board. So you've got to be careful with sequels as well, John, in terms of there's no connecting tissue with the first film. Yeah. The actors aren't the same, and it's very
you need some sort of
Predator 2.
Yeah, you need a thread.
No connecting tissue to Predator 1. There was no Arnold Schwarzenegger there. There was nothing. Danny Glover was carrying that film, and it just didn't work. And there's a lot of films like that.
I mean, that's the key. You've got to have some connective tissue with the original if you want to create a sort of sprawling cinematic universe akin to what John Wick's doing. Yeah. Now, a lot of people could argue John Wick hit its sort of peak in the first film. It was a simplistic revenge film about a guy who get out of that industry, that business of murdering and mobsters and hits and whatnot, was brought back in by the killing of the dog and obviously the car and what that meant to him on a sentimental level with his dead wife. That brought him back in, and then he just unleashed absolute chaos on this sort of Russian mobster's son. That was a simple story. It worked really well. They obviously have since expanded it out into 4 movies as a spin-off ballerina thing with Fiona actress whose name eludes me at the moment. I personally like the spin-off movies.
So no, Anna.
It was
what's her name?
Yeah, it was married to. It was get out with fucking blank on his name. Terrible. Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
Anna de Armas. Yeah. I like them. I like the spin-offs. I like what they've done with the universe. They've added depth to it. It's a kind of almost like steampunky vibe with these. It's modern times, but within the machinations of these criminal organisations.
A web series in production as well.
It was the Continental was talked up. Obviously, your man who played Winston, I always blanked his name, with incredible teeth. You know what I'm talking about? He's got
Ian McShane.
Ian McShane's got a kind of. He's not got a lisp, but he talks a certain. It's those fucking teeth. They're fake as hell. He's getting on, man. He's getting on in years now. I mean, he's fucking 70 odds or something. So he's not got a huge amount of time left. So if they're going to do something, I don't think he's even in charge of the Continental now, is he? Has he got it back? I need to go back and watch John Wick 4. I think there was some shenanigans with the Continental and that, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
But they've done a great job of expanding out that universe and adding depth and sort of lore to the shenanigans of the criminals. But there was connective tissue.
Yeah,
you had Ian McShane, you had Keanu Reeves, you had multiple characters make the jump over, even your own guy that passed away, the sort of fucking like concierge guy at the Continental, brilliant actor, passed away last year. He's only like 60 or something. There was a lot of connections to sort of branch out with. With this, I don't see, aside from going and creating an all new story with a whole new cast and a new concept, and it's.
I'll be honest, John. You talk about Chad Stahelski, right? You talk about, is there a need for a sequel? Is there a need for a remake? I don't think there is.
No.
If Chad Stahelski and his John Wick team are going to do a remake of Kill, it's just going to be John Wick.
Yeah.
What's the point of that? You've got a cracking film there. It's already globally loved. People are aware of this film and they love it. Well, most people do that are into those type of films. It's highly rated, 7.6 out of 10 on IMDb.
I don't know what I rated it. I think I rated it higher. Yeah, I really did enjoy it.
I think I did as well, John, because it had a lot of emotional pull to it. The action was frenetic and brilliant, sort of confined space as well. It's always love those type of films where they use and utilise things that are around them and stuff like that to execute and stuff like that. But in terms of the story as well, it kind of took you off in a different direction in which you thought it was going to, because you thought he was going to work his way through to
Fanny,
perhaps maybe split up with his bride-to-be, and they killed her off, spoiler alert, halfway through the film, maybe not even halfway through.
But as we said in the review, Stephen, that was necessary because that gave the urge for him to take out this sort of, these, what would you call them, bandits?
Yeah.
And obviously it gives you that anchor, that emotional anchor for him to hold on to. And then at the end, when it does, for me, die, he's reunited with her and it packs a punch. But it's just everything about the film, I agree with you. I wouldn't want to remake a Western remake. It was like when Parasite was the sort of the buzz film that won most amount of Oscars in one night since Walt Disney in the 50s. And there was talk immediately of a Western remake. Why would you want to remake it? It's perfect in its current incarnation. You don't need it. I can't imagine Chad, and I love Chad Stahelski. I've watched numerous movies from the guy. He's an absolute master in this genre at capturing action in close confines, one shots and everything. I don't see a single element of this movie that can be improved in a Western remake. No. It's perfect the way it is. It sits right up there with the rest of these sort of revenge action movies. It's a perfect running time, under 2 hours. Characters are perfectly cast. Even the villain, spoke about him before, Fanny. Yeah. Perfectly cast. A really annoying but charismatic maverick kind of character. Well. Father was a bastard, but just Fanny. I mean, I still listen to the score from time to time.
Yeah.
It's almost like a little western.
Yep.
When he's doing things, it's just a brilliant character. It pops. The film is absolutely perfect.
Amrit's partner in crime, who obviously eventually did die, he was really good as well. I can't remember his name, but
it's not Baldev Singh Thakur, because we made that mistake before. I think it may have been Virat.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Pretty sure it was Virat. Was it Virat? I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole again.
Baldev Singh Thakur
he was the father of
obviously
Tulika.
Yeah.
I think it was Virat. A little sort of bald guy with a moustache. He's sort of.
But there was stakes. There was stakes in this film.
Well, there was.
And at times, I think after the first John Wick film, those kind of stakes are lost because the character is now became a franchise, a James Bond, if you like.
Yeah.
Where the stakes he's not going to die. He can't die,
No.
And that's the way John Wick carried on. I still love the films. Don't get me wrong. I love watching those action films. But in this film, when obviously,
I mean, John Wick fucking basically does die in John Wick 4. I mean, I don't know how they're going to explain that. He gets shot to bits.
four films in though.
Yeah.
The journey is there. But in terms of this one, for a first film, killing off the bride to be a third of the film in, I thought, oh wow, okay, right. And then I think his sidekick dies maybe about 2/3 of the way through the film. And you're thinking, this isn't going to end nice. It can't end nice.
Stephen, that's what I like about this film. The fact that it's quite gritty and it's quite realistic. He takes hits. It's a constant battle of the wills. This big tall guy with the tracksuit on and the sort of curly moustache, he's beating the shit out of him, and you can feel the effects. He's getting fatigued. He's starting to become overburdened with onslaught of different injuries. And then when Fanny and him face off at the end, if that was at the start of the film, he'd have took him out like that.
Yeah.
But he's fought so many different guys, he's took so many different blows and stab wounds, that becomes a fight. He starts getting sneaky little stabs into him. I like how organic it is, how realistic it is, and the fact that it doesn't ultimately come out like you said at the end. There's jeopardy for the character, and eventually he does die. That's what makes it so interesting, because these kind of movies, they usually are sort of almost fucking invincible. They make it through 9 times out of 10. You think of Nobody, he makes it through. You think of Death Wish, he makes it through. You think of even John McCain, or Mr. McCain, that's his name, McLean, John McLean. Yeah. I'm thinking about a fucking politician. Yeah, he didn't make it. Don't find it there. I think he's dead. Listen, I'm not going to go down that route, because I think a certain person disgraced his memory. He was a war veteran. We'll not get into politics. But even Die Hard, he makes it through time and time again. But the fact he shot that and actually killed the guy off, and he had that emotional reunion with his wife-to-be, who was obviously on the other side, I thought that was really... It was again, good, you can explain it off, Steve. You can say it was a sort of a rush of adrenaline and different chemical stuff, loss of blood, that he was hallucinating, and you can bring him back. But personally... Yeah,
for anyone that doesn't believe in afterlife and stuff like that, there is another sort of scientific explanation for what's happening here. He's dying, he's hallucinating and that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like a chemical concoction in the brain.
There wasn't at any point in this film I thought they went too far, they've jumped the shark or anything like that. It was quite, as you said, very realistic and tiring for the main character as well. Working his way through that. It wasn't like it was, a machine.
No,
or anything like that.
I mean, he was, but he wasn't.
Yeah.
But it's even reflected in the shot. You can see it in the poster. He starts off with a nice, clean white shot, but at the end it's all ripped and it's red, soaked with blood. And that's double sort of meaning in there. It shows you the progression of a character into madness, into darkness. He's became bloodied, but also as a reflection of his mindset and where he is physically. He's just a bloodied mess by the end of the film.
The other concern I've got is repeating themselves. How do you do this? Because Under Siege 2 did it. Under Siege was on a boat. Under Siege 2 was on a train. But it's the same story, and that's what they've got to. That's what they've got to really be careful of. That one, there needs to be connective tissue. There needs to be something that connects this sequel to the first film, and I'm sure they'll work it out. They've got a plan. If they're saying they're deep into obviously development, and secondly, don't repeat what they've already done, which I think.
Well, I mean, one thing I'll say is the director did a great job. He was involved in the writing process, so he knows what he's doing. We know he's capable in this genre, because he's delivered a brilliant movie that stands right up there with John Wick and the likes of Death Wish and all these other great revenge sort of movies. So we know he's capable, so if he's got something in mind, there's a rationale to it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he'll deliver. The other thing is obviously the producer. As I said before, Ganeet Monga. She's an Academy Award-winning producer, so you've got that gravitas, that sort of brilliance behind the camera, producing and sort of project managing. So we've got the right people involved. If they see a reason for it, then why not, ultimately? But it has to be organic. It has to make sense in relation to the first movie. And there has to be a real justification, aside from it made money, it was successful, let's jump on it and try and make a franchise, because I fucking hate that.
Yeah.
I hate that needless, let's make everything a trilogy, let's make everything a cinematic universe.
Especially at the end of the film, I don't think there was anyone on this planet, perhaps maybe apart from obviously the crew, who were making this film, were thinking there'll be a sequel. You're just thinking this is a one and done, because everyone's dead.
Yeah.
And I don't think that even the survivors, the people that do survive, I can't remember there being that any interesting characters to carry into a second film, if I'll be honest. They were good, but there's nothing there. There's just nothing there. But you never know. I'm sure they'll have a plan. I've got faith in them, John, as well, and I think it'll be very interesting. I'll be keeping obviously my eyes peeled in the production of this and the development of this as well.
Yeah, the only thing
I really did like that film.
I love the film. The only way I can see them making a sequel is if Laksha comes back and they somehow justify that character surviving. He gets saved. What I will say, he's in a train station. Fucking army are responding. There'll be medical personnel. on that scene very quickly. Maybe they do get to him in time and save him. I don't know. That's the only way it would work. Then there's sort of reverberations with this sort of criminal outfit. They are not taking it kindly that they've been wiped out. There's obviously going to be deeper connections. You could go into almost fucking merger power stuff where you've got
on surface that they just look a bunch of punks on a train, don't they? And they're just taking a chance and robbing people on a train. But you're right, connections, they could have obviously that connection. They did that, and
then it becomes deeper.
It wasn't well executed, but they did that with Taken 3, which wasn't a great sequel. But they took some dialogue from the first film about some gangsters. I don't know if it was the mobsters in Russia or something. I don't know where it was, but they made that sort of story in the third part. So there could be something, John. Just the tip of the iceberg. This could be this first film. You never know.
Walsh is a very, very good actor.
He's a great lead man,
in doing this kind of genre, and I would love to see him back. And the character itself, again, you'd need to. I mean, it'd have to be like flipping, where it becomes revenge for the bad guys, and they're trying to hunt him down. And he becomes the hunted, almost like John Wick. And what was the name of that again? It wasn't incognito, but it was like some term for him when he was on the run. I can't remember the name of it. Yeah. It was like some order hit, and they were all getting pinged to their phones, and they were all trying to hunt him down. That's the only way I can see it working. And what he can, we know he's great. So if he comes back, the director comes back, you've got that producer involved. It may be brilliant. Yeah, it may expand out and become something more expansive.
I don't think it'll take anything away from the original film anyway. I don't think it's going to ruin the because it's an isolated film anyway. It's not like you need to see the sequel to understand the first movie or anything. No.
It's a great standalone experience.
And you can just take it for that. You know, if you don't like what they do, then it doesn't really matter. It's not going to really take away. It'll not have an effect on whether he survives or not. I don't think if he survives, I don't think it takes too much away from the ending. It was a nice ending, and it left it open ended. It kind of suggested it was passing over to the other side, if you like, but you never know.
Another thing I find quite interesting is the actual conversation here, where the producer's talking, Monga's talking about obviously what it did kill for her, and in terms of just maybe the production company on a global stage. And she's saying there, obviously, action is a transient language. Kill allowed me to get into global distribution in a new way. Many more doors have opened up internationally, but also nationally. I think I know my stuff more. So that's, Steve, we've said this time and again, it's just great to see Indian content getting eyeballs now globally. I'm not saying it never had it.
And it doesn't need it,
No, it doesn't need it. They don't need a patronising pat on the head saying, "Oh, you did well there, didn't you?" By Hollywood or people in the West. They're confident in themselves, they know what they've got. But still, we've seen Korean stuff rightfully getting a lot of attention and getting plaudits over the last 10, Lord knows how many years. It's great to see Indian content now getting it, because we've been watching this for 3-4 years, 5 years now, however long it's been. Yeah. And consistently brilliant stuff, TV and film, from Super Deluxe through to Kill through to
and that time span, John, I would say Kill's in my top 10. It really is.
I mean, off the top of my head, Super Deluxe is right up there. 96 right up there. Kill, and you think what I'm rhyming off there, it's 3 totally different movies. Dangal right up there. It's a sort of biopic sports movie. You've got an action one-man army movie. You've got a tragic love story.
Donkey.
You've got Donkey as well. Super Deluxe, obviously this Guy Ritchie-esque multi-perspective comedy, almost fucking tragedy element with obviously the VG Sephipath. I can't even fucking speak. Sephipath character. It's been a long day. Yeah. And he's playing this trans character who's getting criticised from all sorts of avenues. He's got the relationship with his kid. And then off the top of my head, obviously, Scam 1992, the TV show, and lots of other great stuff. Family Man, season 2 in particular with Samantha. There's just a litany of brilliant content that's came from the subcontinent. Triple R, now you mentioned that. That was a sort of gateway for a lot of people. Great to see more people becoming interested in content from India, because there's some brilliant fucking stuff there. Yeah. And great to see talented people. I mean, she's an Academy Award winner. She's already got connections now just thanks to that. But it's opening up distribution doors. More people are getting to see it. I think Netflix and Amazon in particular, and Disney to an extent with Hotstar, or just Star, I think it is. They've done a brilliant job.
I'd be keen to see that. It's a short documentary, but I would be very keen to see that.
That was it. It was a documentary. So that was the one I was talking about. That's what she won for. Yeah. Yeah, I would love to see that as well. Yeah. So it's just great that they're finally getting more people want to work. I want to see crossovers. I want to see the likes of Rajamouli and NTR Junior and guys like that coming over and working in big Western flicks, and vice versa. People going over to India and working. So one criticism I'd have of Indian cinema, I mean, we've had James Cosmo go over and obviously working, wasn't Sapata Parambarai, what was it, Jagami Fandaram with Danush.
Yeah.
But in the main, the Western actors that get over, they're low calibre, not phenomenal. Obviously, a man who passed away, Ray Stevenson, not his fault. We know he's a fantastic actor. It was a very two-dimensional villainous character.
Yeah.
But that's one thing I think you could maybe, and hopefully with this interest, we'll see big name, proper Western actors want to work with Rajamouli, want to work in Indian stuff. Not again that you need it, but it'd just be great to see it.
Yeah,
so
I think so.
Glad to see.
Yeah.
It's opening doors for the producer, for the director, for everyone involved.
Have you anything else you want to add, John, before we move on? What do you think, folks, of a Kill sequel? Do you think it's necessary? Would you like to see it? What's your idea of what you think they might do in the sequel? Just drop your comments into the comment section below, folks. We'll certainly reply to it. But we're going to move on to our next topic, and it's all about music news, John. And Band Aid 40 has been released today, I think it was. Certainly on YouTube. It only dropped about 4 hours ago as we film this. And it's the 40th anniversary remake of Band Aid's Do They Know It's Christmas has been unveiled amid renewed discussion about the song's portrayal of Africa. Now, the new Ultimate Mix blends vocals from several versions of the charity single that has been recorded over the years, so that George Michael duets with Harry Styles and Chris Martin harmonises with the Sugar Babes. However, Ed Sheeran has objected to his vocals being recycled for the new track because the narrative has changed, and said he would have declined permission if he had been asked. In response, Spandau Ballet singer Tony Hadley, who sang on the original 1984 single, told BBC Radio 2, "I think they, critics like Sheeran, should shut up, to be honest." Hadley added, "If you take that route, then nobody does anything to help anyone, so it's just nonsense. Everyone's doing their bit and try and support various charities, and we were doing our bit innocently to support what was happening in Ethiopia. So what do we do? Do we just sit back and do nothing?" I'm not going. It's a very lengthy. It's from the BBC. This, if you want to check it out.
I mean,
folks.
What I would say to that is a sort of rebuttal to that is that they did do a brilliant job of drumming up charitable donations for
awareness.
Awareness for the Ethiopian famine back in the day, in the 1980s. But it was very much you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. I mean, they won out of it. They got recognition as well. It became an iconic Christmas hit. So whilst it did have obviously charitable origins, ultimately they get the awareness and more people watching them, and they get to sort of benefit out of it too.
I might be wrong, John, but obviously I get what you're saying, but I think royalty-wise, I think it all goes into that charity.
Yeah, not in terms of
money,
financial game, just talking about reputational and obviously people see.
Yeah, I mean, people are always going to see that, and artists aren't they going to see there's an agenda there, regardless of good intentions, but it's just the nature of the game, and it's the nature of people as well. It's been very suspicious. Who the fuck is Bananarama?
Who the fuck are Bananarama?
They were big.
One hit wonder.
I'm not picking on them. I didn't mind them, but what I mean is, it was the artists of the day, wasn't it? Back in the '84 version, George Michael, Boy George was in there. Obviously, Tony Hadley, Simon Le Bon was there. Major, Bono, Sting, Paul Weller.
Yeah, it's
Status
just
quo,
isn't it? It really is.
Collins.
I mean, it highlights for all to see just the regression in musical talent over the last 40 years. Because you see the likes of Bono, you see the likes of Paul Weller, and Major to an extent. Obviously, George Michael, unbelievable singer and frontman and just all round pop star. And then you're just regressing to like fucking Dizzy Rascal and fucking randoms I've never heard of, and Ed Sheeran, and it's like, where have we went the last 40 years? I mean, Ed's a fucking powerhouse. I don't want to be derisory. I liked Ed, and I still maintain there's songs that I do like of his. His first album, I liked Lego House and things like. I never did bond with that fucking whatever the hell it was, A-Team. I fucking hated that song. But Lego House, and there was a couple of other songs I liked of Ed's, and even You Like Me, You Need Me, Man, I Don't Need You. Just the looting and the way that he would structure it was almost like a one-man band. So he's a very talented guy. You can't dismiss his writing abilities because you can maybe dismiss whether you like the songs he's writing, but he's a hitmaster. He's not just writing songs for himself. It's constant onslaught of hits for other artists.
Yeah.
So as a musician and an artist, I can't knock him. What he's done is fucking unbelievable. When he releases an album, was number one after number one. Again, that could be more of a sort of critique of modern music standards in the charts, because certainly when I listen to the charts, and I do every Friday, it's like, who the fuck is this? Who is this? Why is this number one?
Music for you, isn't it? I mean, take you back to when you were interested in the charts. People of your age and my age, John, then would have been like, fucking rubbish shit, and it's not like my day. I'm not saying we're focused.
I mean, I grew up in the 90s, so I can definitely say that.
I think
charts
just
in my day were
everyone has their sort of period in music that they like, society that is, and certainly this is not mine. I couldn't tell you what's in the top 40 anymore. I couldn't even tell you. I used to be able to tell you number ones all through the 90s, like, back in the day.
The number one just now is like Bruno Mars, I think, or something like that. Yeah. Patut, I don't know. I can tell you the way it goes, but I can't tell you the actual. Patootie. It's like something like that. But it's
John.
It screams of a rip off of another song.
Talking about the megamix, how did you feel about it? Because we listened to it earlier, didn't we?
Yeah, I did. I listened to it. Too much talking, Stephen, in that particular video. It got dropped a couple of years ago.
I think the record might be different. I think that will chop.
They'll get
in terms of, as you said, the videos.
I understand why they're doing it. It's portraying a narrative or showing you the rationale. Because a new generation of people won't be aware of this, perhaps, so they have to be reintroduced to it. In terms of the mix, there was some omissions. Obviously, Kylie Minogue, I think they completely.
What version was she in?
89, I think it was.
That was the Pete Waterman one.
Yeah, they just totally
I don't think Bob Geldof had anything to do with that.
That'll be why then. Yeah.
I think it was a Stock Aitken Waterman one. That's probably why. Yeah.
Well, they aren't in it. Obviously, Dizzy Rascal. I mean, it's pretty cool. I mean, you've got different acts from different generations harmonising and doing things. You get to see obviously the progression of Bono as well as he's got older. He's still got an incredible voice. I did maintain that he was far better as a sort of artist than just general looks 40 years ago. He was just a cool looking guy. When he's wearing the tank tops and he's got the sort of long hair, he was just a cool looking geezer. And now he's just became a little bit fucking preachy and a bit ball-baggish.
The stadium band, didn't they?
Yeah.
So they're going to obviously.
I mean, I still love Edge. Edge is fucking totally underappreciated guitarist. That
even guy. the 2004 one, I think that was the 20th anniversary. One year, the likes of Tom York, Paul McCartney was there.
Yeah.
Tom Chaplin from Keane.
When he was
the Darkness were in there as well. What's he called? I was about to say Tim Healy. Fran Healy.
Fran Healy, yeah.
A chock-a-block man.
Yeah, Peterson, yeah. No, I mean, it's been brilliant over the last 40 years. I've done different versions. You've had all different acts of the day and even of prior days coming in. No, it is. It's a legendary Christmas song. I hope when they actually put the proper song out that there's more bells and whistles in there. I did like the strings at the start. I quite liked that. That was a different sort of orchestral vibe that we're going for. Again, there's some people in there, even now, I don't fucking know who they are, from all eras, really. There was some older guy with grey hair. I think it may have been a recent one. I'm like, who is this fucking guy?
I had to laugh at that there. Trevor Horn produced the new version and said he would have removed Sheeran's voice vocals if he'd known about the objection. Live Aid promoter Harvey Goldsmith, who was also in Vine's show, remarked, stuff him. Wow, okay.
What was that? Stuff him. What a hatred for Ed. I think he was doing the bit that George Michael did back in the original. So you could just fucking removed him and put George in there. George was far better at it. Far better singer. Just everything was better. I mean, you're not getting Ed Sheeran after the passing of Freddie Mercury doing Somebody to Love, for instance, backstage at a tribute gig and absolutely fucking nailing it one take. An incredibly difficult song even for Freddie, not Fred. Fred Mercury.
Fred.
Said your friends did. For Frederick to do back in the day. So George was a one of a kind generational act. Still hard to believe that guy's lost now. He's not here with us anymore. I mean, he wasn't that old when he passed.
Christmas Day, wasn't it?
Fucking yeah. I mean,
2016.
Wham! Last Christmas is one of my favourite, if not my favourite Christmas songs. When I hear that, that's when I know it's Christmas. It's time to get serious now.
Christmas.
I hate that one. So, I mean, you just fucking removed it if you didn't want to burn it. But speaking about Ed, Stephen, I want to discuss Ed briefly because Ed's been getting absolutely roasted the last day or so after the Ipswich game with Man United. Incidentally, they drew. Man, you're a fucking shambles. Don't know what's happened to that incredible football club. New manager, what's going on with him? But Ed went onto the pitch
right
after the game and introduced himself to Jamie Carragher in the midst of an interview with this new manager, Anarim or something, I think, from Sporting Lisbon. They got him, and he's been getting absolutely tanned. So, just as a little aside, Ed's not had the best of weeks, or weeks, plural, a couple of weeks, because he's been getting destroyed from pillar to post for this, and now he's getting absolutely murdered off of football fans as well for coming in and butting into an interview on live TV. So I feel for Ed a little bit. Edward's getting tanned. I don't know if that's what his name is. Don't know if his name is Edward. Never looked up.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe Ted.
I don't know. Honestly,
yeah, because it said Ted fucking Rogers. His name is Edward. I'm going to search it up now. It's Edward Sheeran.
Ted Heath.
Edward Christopher Sheeran, yes.
Yeah,
yes, he was born in Halifax. He is from Suffolk, incidentally, not Surrey, like I said. No, he's from West Yorkshire, but he was raised.
Sorry for interrupting.
Yeah, he's getting tanned. Yeah. Fucking nonsense, Steve. I mean, I watched it. It was innocent. He went onto the pitch, had a little hug, and he shook your hand to Carragher, and then, well, not a Carragher, Jamie Redknapp, then left. Getting much ado about nothing. I mean, they just
random, yeah.
They just don't like him. A lot of people don't like Ed for some reason. He's a fucking harmless guy. He's harmless, man.
I don't really.
Hammerim's that guy, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In terms of, it's not my style of music, what he does, but I don't actually mind the person behind the music. I don't mind. He doesn't offend me in any way.
You know what I love, man?
He comes across a very grounded person, and everything I've seen so far about him in interviews and stuff like that. But
I love his house setup. He's got like a complex. He's bought all these different houses around. They're almost like Paul McCartney, and he's built a pub in the middle, and there's tunnels from his house into the pub, and I can respect that. I like that, the fact he's got like his family and friends around about him. And he just lives in this little village
scheme.
Yeah. Pubs in the middle.
Yeah.
Fucking great. Guy's living his best life.
Yeah, why not?
Tip my hat to him. Fair play.
I don't have much more to say about that, John,
no.
But in terms of the actual record itself,
it's alright. It's not the best version. The original's still the best.
The original can't be topped. That's the thing. It's a moment in time, more importantly. It's got a kind of, I don't know if I want to say this because it could be controversial, but the actual sound, the production of it is very wall of sound sounding with those chimes.
The other thing, Steve, I've not really discussed, I agree with you. The whole white saviour complex bollocks. Yeah, well, I've not really get into that.
I didn't really want to dig too deep, but anyone that doesn't know, obviously, Sheeran had shared a post by British Ghanaian rapper Fuse ODG. I don't know if that's how you say it. Who argued the song perpetrates damaging stereotypes that Africa is plagued by famine and poverty, which can only be remedied by Western assistance. But I don't think that's the intent. I'm saying I don't think. I know that's not the intent.
Little kids were starving and they wanted to get them aid, plain and simple. So, I don't really buy into the whole white saviour complex.
I mean, they would say that about George Harrison's concert for Bangladesh. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think that was the first sort of rock charity, wasn't it?
I can't remember who was involved in totality in the original. Surely there was some black artists in there as well. It wasn't just all white fucking British and American artists. So I don't really buy into that. I mean, it was a sort of almost like
to look back at it.
Children in need effort over here, where lots of people from society donated money, and I'm assuming it wasn't just fucking white people that donated money. I mean, people from all demographics. So I don't really buy into that.
It raised, as I said earlier on, John, it raised awareness. I think the intentions were very good at the time to raise awareness. Now, if you come from a certain background, you would have been aware of this anyway growing up, if you were, Roman Catholic or whatever, because they have certain, like Skiaf is obviously, a similar charity and stuff like that. So you're always aware of the sort of hardships and the sort of living hell that certain countries have got in terms of famine and war and stuff like that, and all you can do is help. And I totally agree with Tony Hadley in that sense that just what do? Do nothing. No, of course you don't. But it shouldn't really matter who's doing it as long as it's getting done.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter what background the person's coming from. I thought it was I always remember it when it came out. Obviously, it was before your time, John. I know that, but I was 8 or 9 at the time when it came out, and it really did hit home, especially the harrowing scenes that were involved in the video at the time, the starving kids and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And David Bowie's introduction, the actual stats that he was telling about, it was thousands of kids per day, under the age of 4. So very harrowing, very hard hitting. And I don't know why anyone would criticise that, the intentions of that.
It's just society now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Also, the posts have kind of changed, the goalposts, and people look back retrospectively and view the world from a modern sort of perspective and try to juice it down. Is that the right word? The juice down to I don't know. I mean, it's bollocks. I mean, we've spoken about this with films before as well.
Yeah,
70 and 80 years old, and you might not agree with some of the themes explored in the film, but they were exploring a time period where that was the way of life, sadly. And they didn't try to whitewash it. And to go back 70 years on and say, look, this is wrong, that's wrong, don't like the use of this, don't like that. Well, you're just viewing things from a modern perspective. That's not what it was like back then.
Yeah.
So you've got to view things logically when you look at the past. So I don't really buy into that. That's fucking bollocks for me. And ultimately, it's for a good cause. And if it keeps those fucking sausage roll fuckers out the charts, then I'm happy. You see, if I have to listen to them,
all about that.
If I have to listen to them dominate another Christmas chart, I know they've with 4 number ones out the last 5 or 6. It's like, just get them in the bin. Yeah. Seriously, I've had enough of those two.
Was that enough for charity?
Oh, it was, but I don't give a shit. I don't care. Mind when people were moaning about Simon Cowell and the X Factor box getting a number 1 every year, I'd get back to that over that. Fucking built this city on sausage rolls. Terrible, man.
Get Danny Malin at number 1.
The original was terrible. Built this city on rock and roll. I hated that song. Then they remixed it with sausage rolls. Oh, for fuck. Everything that's wrong with British society.
I think we'll end on that note and we'll move on to
country.
our next topic, which is going to be gaming news. But before we do, folks, have you heard the new Band-Aid 40 remix? What do you think of it? Do you agree with Tony Hadley's response to Ed Sheeran's comments in terms of the intentions of the song and its portrayal in modern society? Just having a wee look. Hi, how you doing?
Hello there. Hi.
Good to someone's in. But if you've got anything to say on that, just drop a comment. We'll certainly respond. We'll read it and appreciate it as well. We're going to move on to gaming news. And we're going to be talking about Half-Life 3 rumours, John, that continue to swirl about the multiverse. And while the 20th anniversary of Half-Life 2 came and went last week with no big announcements, GTA was sort of overshadowing everything. Besides some behind-the-scenes info on Valve's plans for Half-Life 2 Episode 3, YouTuber Tyler McVicker has put out a new video with what he believes is a further evidence of Half-Life 3's existence. McVicker had made frequent claims regarding Half-Life 3 as in the past, such as a cancelled build-up of the game from 2015, but he was among the first to leak details on Valve's upcoming multiplayer shooter Deadlock, or Citadel as it was originally known. According to McVicker, recent updates to Valve's current titles, Deadlock, Dota 2 and Counter-Strike 2, include details and files he is convinced are related to a new Half-Life game. Sometimes games are like that, though. Sometimes they start off as something and then they just evolve into something else, very much like films do at the time, But I don't know, John, in terms of Half-Life, I was kind of semi-joking that I forgot about it. It was one of those ones that I really enjoyed at the time, and it kind of bridged the gap between whatever we were playing at the time. And I think you got me the orange box. I think it was for my Christmas or my birthday. I can't remember. But
I thought
it was great. I thought it just
multi-game bundle.
Yeah. I love Portal. I love that
I've
game.
ever fucking bought in my life. It was an incredible. Yeah. I mean, the first 2 games, Half-Life games, were extraordinary games for their time.
They were so lengthy as well. I mean, you could play it for...
It was a story. It was months, like that era's version of Last of Us or whatever. Yeah. So that's what I'm thinking, the right thing, isn't it? Yeah, Last of Us. I only played the first one because I think I had a PS4. Then I sold it for some reason. Never had the opportunity.
Was that exclusive to the PlayStation?
Yeah, it's Naughty Dog. Yeah, they do all the sort of great games. Obviously, Sony, being Sony, they have the rights to Spider-Man and whatnot, so you have to wait like 5 years to get it on PC. It will never appear on Xbox.
No.
The Spider-Man games, and they're fantastic. But very much of its time, it was like Last of Us, very complex, brilliant mechanics, and the story was really interesting, dystopian sort of world. I get the sort of interest moving over the last 2 decades for a third iteration, but my concern with this, Stephen, is you're always going to walk into the problem where people have built up their hopes that much, they've thought out what's going to happen in terms of the story, the characters, that you cannot possibly fulfill their happiness. It's like Star Wars again, where you've got 20, 30, in the case of the sequels, it's 40 years or something, 35 years since 1983 to 2015. So shite at mathematics, this is going to be embarrassing for me. 33 years, 32 years. That's when The Force Awakens came out, wasn't it? 2015. 32 years worth of hype and hope
for those characters.
You cannot possibly meet the expectations of that fan base. It's impossible. It's the same with this. The longer it goes on, the harder it's going to be. And it's the same with GTA and Rockstar. The longer they keep pushing it back and building up anticipation, they better have something fucking special when it finally drops, or the blowback is going to be Sarbomba level. And if you know what that is, you know what that is. Well, I'll let you know what it is. It's a Soviet dropping of a bomb up the very north of Russia. Largest atomic explosion the world has ever seen, and it was half the power. They actually took half the nuclear arsenal out of the actual bomb, and it is the biggest explosion ever. That's the level of sort of blowback these companies are going to receive. I don't think Valve will have that level, because it's been years and years and years and years, and I think if they dropped it, people would be that happy at this point. Another example, Stephen, would be Star Wars for me. Old Republic, people have wanted a sequel to the Old Republic games.
Yeah. Yep.
And by the time they finally get one, it's just, you cannot possibly make everyone happy. You'll make some people happy, but not everyone. So it's tricky when you go that long.
I think
without releasing a sequel.
But I think in terms of these type of games, whether it be Half-Life or GTA, they're unique in their own way, that they become a victim of their own success because of their uniqueness. And we talked about this, I think, last week or the week before, John, when we were talking about GTA 6 and the whole moon thing. I think it was last week, wasn't it? It was actually our live show, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Friday.
It was Friday,
Yeah, as you said, people build up expectation. You're not going to please everyone, but the problem that they have as well is repeating themselves. What do you do in GTA 6 that that you didn't do in GTA 5? In terms of, obviously, graphics will be upscaled, get that, and the maps will be a bit bigger. Half-Life probably doesn't have that same problem. In terms of, obviously, graphics, upscaling, they certainly need it. I remember that chap that's standing in the background there.
Yeah.
It reminded me of the chap from The Fugitive who was a bad liar in the hospital. Do you remember him? Bones, I think his name was.
I'm trying to remember.
He was just a bad liar. Richard Kimball was there, and he was trying to say he wasn't there, and he said, I think it was Gerard said, I didn't even mention him, what he said. It's just a terrible...
Is that when he was floating about?
Yeah.
Trying to get access?
Yeah.
So, and he had the doctor's coat on.
But in terms of in terms of, obviously, the graphics they can do, that's what they will have to do. But in terms of missions,
that's a remaster. It's very impressive for a game of its age to look that good. It shows you that the actual...
When was part 2 out?
I think it was like 2. I'd have to search. I'd have to
They're
look
talking
it up.
about 3 should have come out in 2015. So
2004.
2004.
20 years ago.
Fucking hell, man, that's incredible.
But it shows you that in its core engine, they had something really impressive back then that you can just remaster it and it holds up. It's the same with the likes of the Old Republic. These old games, they've got a unique sort of personality about them, the characters and the way that they were made. There's something about that time period, and even going further back, the Monkey Island games and stuff like that, they had a unique vibe about them that's difficult to recreate in modern times. And it's a critique that people have had of video games in the last 10, 15 years. The graphics have went up and it became incredible, and even now I think it's the latest Unreal Engine.
Yeah,
it's almost indecipherable if you do it right. It's like a fisheye lens as a shooter game, and if you just see short clips, it's almost like that looks real. But the trouble is, the stories have never really got to that level, and the characters and just the way that they had to. It's almost like the old Star Trek stuff. You didn't have the visuals, you didn't have the budget, so you had to compensate with great writing and character development. They never had that level of graphics, so you had to overcompensate in other aspects.
It pulls you in. It does. It pulls when they do a good story and the characters.
They rely on the visuals now.
Alan Wake was another one, John, that I really loved because of that. Because there wasn't a multiplayer for it; it was a single player game, but it was really good.
It was like a TV show.
L.A. Noire was another one.
L.A. Noire was.
I think a lot of people were disappointed with L.A. Noire because of who it came from.
Yeah.
And they were expecting some kind of multiplayer 1950s sort of style of a GTA, and it wasn't. It was a single player, but it was a very good detective series. And you're absolutely right. If they invest enough time,
games like that back in the day,
and if you invest enough time and make the characters interesting, and there's a story there and a plot and a journey that you go in with these characters, and you can connect with them. Red Dead Redemption, the first game as well, single player was phenomenal. I loved that. I think you gave me a loan it, John, and I held on to it a little bit longer than I should have. But I could not.
TV shows now.
I could not.
Still get Millennium.
I could not put that game down until I finished it. And Half-Life 2 was another one. I could not stop until I finished it.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's a wonderful game.
Yeah.
And it stands the test of time. As you can see, remastered. Visually, it looks great. The story's there. The characters are there. And so much so that there's still a fan base willing a third installment to come out 20 years later. So that shows you they did something special. Obviously, Valve, who made it, have went off to make Steam, which is a platform and it's selling stuff. So they've almost splintered off. They became manufacturers of... I think it's the Steam. Fucking what's the name of it? It's like a console PC, like a hybrid. They're creating their own platforms and whatnot now. So
is this the Steam that you're talking about?
Yeah, Steam. That's Valve. Yeah, it's the same company.
Right. Is that the company that you had to log into to play the likes of The Sims and stuff like that online?
Yeah, Valve. They were the ones that made the game. They became Steam now, which is a platform for other, and it hosts other games.
Yeah, it's like an umbrella platform. Yeah.
For PC gaming. I mean, it's like
I didn't know that. Yeah.
So obviously they've got their finger in many pies now, their irons in many fires. So it's going to be tricky for them to dedicate time to making. But I'd imagine if this guy is in the know, like the McVicker guy, it sounds like he's Scottish. Probably isn't. He's probably from America, and saying that he's long lost relative of fucking. Yeah, Tyler McVicker, he's probably claiming to be the long-lost descendant of William Wallace, because that's what American people do. You can't just be related to fucking Jane or Jim from down the road in the middle of Pollock Shaws or something. They have to be related to Robert the Bruce or fucking William Wallace. It's like, you weren't. I can tell you categorically.
You were related to Burning Nisbet, yeah.
Yeah, you were not related to Robert the Bruce. Sit fuck down. Behave yourself. But if he's in the know, like he seems to be, perhaps they are working on something in the background, but they'd have to be very clandestine, indeed, in modern life to be able to slip that through under the radar to the extent where they're almost testing it with a new engine.
Yeah.
But I fucking hope they are, because it'd be great.
Yeah, it would.
You need more competition, like I said. You need different games.
The only issue I would have probably, John, is that people like us would look forward to it, but there's another generation of gamers now.
It's like 2 generations now.
Who have never heard of this franchise, probably. Would they be interested in it? Who knows?
I mean, great video games are great video games ultimately. True. And it could be reverse engineered. They discover the third installment and then they go back and enjoy the previous 2. But I wanted games to get back to this sort of stuff. I understand multiplayer and the whole fucking in-game purchasing and basically kid gambling and the likes of EAFC and the EA games and the 2K games. I get that drives money now. And obviously, in terms of Rockstar, 10 years worth of updates for a multiplayer game without actually having to create a sequel. I get that drives it, but for me, and obviously Warzone and Call of Duty doing their thing, it's more multiplayer centric. I want to see a return to really fucking brilliant single player games, because Starfield came out too much frenzy and anticipation. It was fucking shit for me. That may be down to me though, because I've just not got the time to dedicate to it now. Hogwarts Legacy, I enjoyed it for a week and then fell away. And by all accounts, people love it. But I want to see some brilliant. I mean, I like it. What's it? It's called? I'm blanking on the name of it. Not Bioshock was another one, by the way. Fallout. Yeah. And I hated Fallout 3. I fucking hated that game.
I had,
was it Fallout 4?
4 it was,
hated it.
Yeah.
Hated the building mechanics.
I played it on Christmas Day and never went back to it.
It was dreadful. And I fucking love Fallout 3. Yeah. I was so invested in the lore and all the factions.
That's the one Lemmy plays, isn't it?
Yeah, I loved it.
Pretending he's... Yeah. Alright, guys, right.
Yeah, the nuclear bomb bit at the start, It's like laughing at them because he can't get access to the bunker or the whatever it is, the vault thing. And obviously I mean, that's just Lemmy all over. He can make anything interesting. He could play a fucking jigsaw game and make it interesting. But yeah, I mean, we need to get back to great single player games that have interesting characters, and the graphics are just a side note.
Yeah,
but we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
Modern video games are just obsessed with brilliant visuals. I was playing side scrollers when I was a kid, where you had to interact, use the fucking stick on this and combine it to open a door up and stuff like that. That's the type of games I grew up with, and they were brilliant. Talk about Monkey Island again. I love Guybrush, Fleetwood, LeChuck. I can't remember his first name. Curse of LeChuck, I can't remember. I love those games. They were visually a joke. Story-wise, brilliant. I digress. What's your thoughts on the topics we touched upon? Because we're done here. What's your thoughts on Nikhil Nagesh Bhat's Kill potentially getting a sequel? We've got Oscar winning. No, I was about to say an Oscar award winning, but that's not right. It's an Academy Award. Oscar's a different name for it, but it's not an Oscar award. An Academy Award winning producer involved in the process. I presume she was involved in the first film as well. What's your thoughts on it? Do you want to see a sequel? How can they make it work? Do you want to see the Lakshma, is that his name? I'm blanking on his name already. Yep. The original guy from the first film coming back. How can they make that work? He looked as though he fucking died to me in the first film. Share your thoughts down below about that. Thoughts on the 40th anniversary of Band-Aid. There's been a megamix released. A lot of people are sniping, saying it's white saviours. Ed's, i.e. Edward Christopher Sheeran, doesn't want to have his vocals in it. He'd have refused, whatever adjective you want to use if they'd asked him permission. They didn't. He's in there. Little ginger minge. Thoughts on that? Thoughts on Half-Life 3 rumours popping up again? Will we get a third instalment? Are you interested? Anything you want to share, put it down below in the comments section. Like the video if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon to get notifications straight to your eyes. Here on YouTube, follow button, notifications button over on Twitch as well for the same content on a different platform. All that's left to be said is thank you to the sole commenter tonight. Thank you for watching us, and until the next time,